No
All right.
worries.
All right, so we got Song. He joined commit last week, and we're super excited to see his demo. He's going to present the SMS notification service for Zero. So take it away.
Yeah, sure. So just a kind of quick intro on like how this idea got started. So when I was like interviewing the commit, I noticed that some of the emails went into my junk box. So and that is obviously pretty frustrating because I had to not only just check my inbox but also periodically check the junk box. So that's like, and when I saw the product list and I see there's an idea is about sending a SMS text notification on top of this the additional important emails. So that's when I think this is a very good idea because I was having this problem where I was doing onboarding. So I picked up this idea, and then first I was thinking to implement this as a feature in Helix. But after writing the initial part of the pitch and talking to a few people, and I realized that it's probably better to write this as a service in Zero, so that that Helix they can build some features to invoke this service, rather than directly building this in Helix. So this is where this how this product got started, and then yeah, and then I would say the first challenge I have is about the language because my past experience is mostly in Python, Node.js, and PHP, and I'm kind of new to Go. So this is actually my first project in Go. So the first part is just doing all the setup to understand how to go as a language and also understand how the Open API generator works. So I was after about like 1 day to learn about the syntax of Go and understanding how the Open API generator works. I started the actual coding part, which I would say is actually fairly simple because there are just not many SMS APIs available in the market, and I just choose Twilio because Twilio that's the I think that's the most popular one, and I have also used Twilio in the past. So just kind of give a quick demo on how this works. So I just create an endpoint in Zero as SMS send, and it just takes two basic parameters. One is the recipient, which is a phone number, and then just a message. So let's just see what happens if I try to send the request. Did I start the server? Yeah. Yeah, not sure if you guys can see my screen, but here I got a text message, and then we can also try to send a different yeah. Yeah, here's another one. And then I would say there are still still some works that need to be done to bring this to the to production. For example, right now the error handling is very basic. So it just throw a generic like 400 byte request, or if it's some server side error, just throws 500. So if I have more time to work on this, I would probably just work on the to do more on the error handling side. And another challenge I have is that so Twilio do not provide any official SDKs for Go. There were some unofficial libraries, but just based on my observation, I don't think those libraries seem to have any like reliable like long-term support. So I'm just so I'm not using any SDK, just using direct HTTP API calls in the code, which makes the code a little bit unreadable. So if you have more time, I would also just to write them like a more customized API wrapper for Twilio. So yeah, that's pretty much yeah, my presentation. So any questions or comments or anything?
I love the ping.
Yeah, it's a nice touch.
Nice touch.
Yeah, actually, I muted my phone on purpose because I usually mute my phone during the meetings, but this one I turned it on purpose.
Yeah, it's a nice little touch.
I definitely wore the right shirt today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the shirt that Postman.
Cool. Yeah, so where is this running? You said it's running on Zero, but which part of Zero is running this?
So I checked out the repo called Zero Notification Service, and right now it's just running locally on my computer. So as you can see, it's the 127 IP address.
Oh, okay, cool.
And how did you find working with the, like it's, so that project is in Go, but it's also using a lot of code generation. So how did you find working with that, like with the open API and sort of like schema first design of the project?
Yeah, I would say so I have been kind of exposed to this kind of approach in the past, because back in my previous companies, we usually have some product level meetings and then we develop work into backend and the front end. And then the backend and the front end team, we need to kind of, agree on the schema. So even though we were not really writing any schema files, we already kind of mutually agreed on the API, the input and output and specifications. And then, yeah, and this is not the first time I've heard of this kind of similar like schema first API generator, but this is indeed the first time I'm using that. So it's a new experience. And at first it's kind of confusing because, first I see the API specs and then see the specs for the input and the output. So it looks kind of confusing, but, once I just read the API specs first and then try to get the input and output, it's actually quite straightforward, I would say.
Yeah, a nice thing about Postman too is that you can actually go in and hit, I think it's that import button, and then you just click on the YAML file of the schema and it'll fill in all of the requests for you. So it'll create like sample sort of whatever it calls them for each endpoint. So it'll fill in all of the parameters and all the variables, set up all the variables and stuff for you. It's pretty.
Wow, that's cool.
Nice.
I actually didn't know that. Yeah, that's good to know. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like OpenAPI, we generate client libraries at Patch. So we have an Open API as well. And we just generate like the Python client, the Ruby, and the JavaScript client from that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, actually with this, as soon as your changes make it into production, we just like make a tag and fill in a version number, and then it'll kick off jobs that will create a node library and like a and I think just like a JavaScript library, and then it'll send them to npm. And so the Helix team then will just use the newer version of the npm library, and they're good to go. They don't need to do anything else.
But that's pretty cool. Does all of that live on the same repo, or is that on the different? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's all done with GitHub Actions.
Cool.
So you can check out that that repository.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at that because we have different repos, so we do it manually. But that's a better idea. Cool. And so you mentioned that you never worked with Go before. So how was your experience having to learn Go?
Yeah, I would say the good thing is that because there's some like existing code base, so that makes the learning much easier because as not only Go but for every language, they have lots of features, especially for this kind of higher level languages like Python or Go, they have just so many libraries, so many very rich features. So I think for this one, because there's existing code for the email service, so I just look at how the email services work, and then kind of just use the similar approach for the SMS service. So that makes the learning part easier because I know what are other parts I need to focus on for this product.
Cool. And then what are some kind of the use cases for this solution? Like what kind of messages do you think people will want to send, or what kind of notifications?
So yeah, I would say at the start, definitely, for some important emails, it's nice, or not just email, maybe it's for some important like events, it's nice to have a like SMS text notification because emails I would say they're kind of asynchronous. I mean, there is a push notification, but some people they don't check emails constantly. But for SMS, once you get a ping, you're gonna look at your phone. Another thing I can think of is that if you ever build any like two-factor authentication and then we use SMS as the second step, then this can also be handy.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what what attracted you to this problem? Like, why did you want to like try Twilio out? What attracted you? Did you have this problem before? Why did you decide to pick this specific problem to work on?
Yeah, so because I said, I personally got some of the emails from commit into my junk box, and then yeah, I think probably there's one email, and I think it's a pretty important one. It's about the collecting the signature, and then I missed that email by like almost 4 hours. Yeah. So that's why I think this feature can be important. As for Twilio, and so because for the past few companies and project, there's always like some sort of like SMS notification features. So I either choose the Twilio myself or already have the Twilio being chosen for me by the previous developers. And then right now it is still, I would say, probably still the largest and SMS API providers. So I just chose them.
And that's cool. And do you see any limitations with your solution? Because you mentioned that you want to add some more error handling and that kind of stuff, but do you see any other limitations like, I don't know, volume, like if you would need to send a bunch of SMSs? Do you think that you have some limitations there or no?
Yeah. Yeah, so there are indeed a few limitations. For example, one limitation is that, so how Twilio works is that before you can send the messages, you need to create a phone number. And then this phone number has some geolocation limitation. For example, the one I'm using, they're based in US. That means, if you are sending messages within North America, then the rate is reasonable. But let's say if you want to send messages to someone in Europe, then the rate is going to be much more expensive. So if you really want to kind of deploy this solution kind of globally or like or into many regions, probably need to create different phone numbers for different region. And then right now, email solution, we do not have a support for this yet. Or we had to get different configuration files and then deploy the services into different geolocations.
Oh, I see. So if you want to send notifications to like Europe, you would need a different phone number. You have to configure that to use that as well. Interesting. And
Yeah.
do you think that, because I don't know how, I know how spam works for email, but for like SMS messages, is there like, do you also get blocked? Like, do you think that this phone number you're using could get blocked by some reason if you're sending too many messages or something? I don't know how it works, but
Um, yeah, so I would say Twilio, they have been evolving because in the past when I first worked with Twilio, I think that was back in 2018. They did have some problems because back then lots of the companies, they were sharing their same number, and then if one of the users of that phone number send some like spam messages, then everyone using that number got blocked. But for now, I would say it's much better because so right now on this kind of like a passive account, I can only send the messages to the phone number that has been verified. So right now only my phone number works. And then if you move to production, then you can send messages to all the phone numbers. And then we can also reserve a phone number just for ourselves. So that means, as long as we are, being responsible on like choosing who we send the message to, then that phone number should be pretty safe. I would say the risk of getting blocked should be, I mean, not blocked, I mean, getting reported should be pretty low.
yeah, that makes sense. Because for email, you have some ways to say that you're a legitimate sender and people don't like email providers don't block you.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious to know like how it works for SMS. But it's just another conversation, I guess. And then did you hit any big roadblocks when you were developing the solution or anything you found particularly hard about this, or I don't know, did you have like any problems?
Well, I would say, I guess the first blocker, not just for this product, pretty much for all the products, especially if the new language or framework, is the setup. So I think I spend most of the time just doing the setup. Probably spend a day to, to get the language and all the framework set up. And because I guess the reason for that is that different people, they are using different platforms, and some they are using Mac, some they are using Windows. So I'm on Windows. So I think, just to my understanding, it seems like the configuration file is written for Mac. So the first step is just just to understand where the problems are, and then do some modifications to the make file to make sure it works on Windows.
So onboarding was harder than you expected. Interesting. And then, what is your favorite part about this project? Like, what is the thing that you found most interesting, or what's the favorite part?
Yeah, I was definitely about the open API generator and the Go as a new language, because this is the first time I work on Go or work on any even any functional programming languages. So it's kind of cool that I can just read the schema, and then I just run a command, and then I already have the controller layer being written. So all I need to do is just to hook up the controller layers to the server and then rest the service layer. So that saves us saves lots of time.
Awesome. And if you had more time, what else would you add?
Well, first is definitely the error handling, and then right now, I'm not sure if you guys can see the code. I would say it's not as pretty as I wish. So definitely just
I can't see
do
the
more
code.
code refactoring and cleanup. Okay. Anyway,
I
yeah.
only see Postman.
Okay, let me see if I can show you the code.
Yeah, it might just be the single window that was shared.
Yeah. Okay. Just one second. Yeah, now should be good. Yeah, not sure if you guys can see the screen.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so yeah, I would say the code is not really as pretty or as clean as I wish. So if you have more time, definitely just to kind of clean up the code a bit, because for Twilio they have a very rich library. Like sending SMS is only part of the features. They also have some programmable voice or even video call features. So right now I would say if you're only using SMS, then this code is probably okay. But if you're continuing to use more features, then it's probably better to kind of create a different file just for the Twilio APIs, and then make the service layer a little bit similar.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's cool. Does anyone have questions? No questions. All right. Thank you so much, Song, for sharing your project. Looks pretty cool. And I love the little dings as well. It's a nice little touch. So yeah, it's a pretty cool project. And I hope we can use it with Zero.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting this merged in, and hopefully the Helix team can start using it.
Nice.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Yeah.